crown is here.
Right.
It has the crown, but the toe goes on it, everything goes on it, so you
Right.
wouldn't see. So
Very
we wanted it to be
beautiful.
like, good,
Thank you.
I thank you. And this is Beth in memory of her daughter.
Oh, how nice. that light?
So we can leave this here if it's not there.
Hi, good Yontif. Nice to see you. I'm used to being ignored. I often thought if I did a service in Grand Central Station, it would be just like this. I'm going to start the service very shortly. This is very nice. This is very heartening to have this many people EREV Yom Kippur. And we should all finish Yom Kippur with the same mindset, and everybody should have a happy and a healthy year. We'll say Amen. So there we are. I was just ordained. I had a student pulpit in Warren, New Jersey from 76 to 80. And when I was ordained, I went back to my board at the Warren Shul, and I said, I'm here. And they said, we know that. And I said, I'm ready to go full time. And they said, we don't need you for full time. When you came, we had 50 families, and now we have 60. So we had to look elsewhere. And those were the days when, if you needed a job, you looked in a Jewish newspaper. And this particular ad said, Southeastern congregation seeks rabbi. Now, when you grow up in New York City and you read Southeastern, you figure, must be Jersey. So I applied. It turned out to be North Carolina. And we were there for 6 years. It was very pleasant. The one sticking point was the Rabbi Emeritus, or as they like to say, emeritus, like it's some kind of disease. And we went to see him when we came to town. When we came to town, they said that the Rabbi Emeritus would like to speak to you. So I took my bag of books, which I am wont to carry around, and we went to his little house, and I excused myself immediately, and he looked at the bag, and he looked at my wife. We were practically newlyweds. And he said, does he carry all his wisdom in that bag? And I've never forgotten that, so I've got my little bag up here. But I want to thank you, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you all for coming to services and being with us and asking repentance, not only for ourselves and our families, not only for the house of Israel, but the entire world. As Shakespeare tells us, the world is out of joint, and we have to make it right. So this is one way of doing it. All right, please turn to page 206 for the Ashrei, and we'll light candles. Okay, who's my candle lighter? This elaborate system of pantomime is all worked out beforehand. Please rise for the candle lighting. It's Yom HaZikaron. We wave our hands over the candles. We're bringing the yontif. Cover our eyes and sing the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, lehadlik ner shel yom hazikaron. Amen. Let's make Shechayanu. We thank God that we are together, we are healthy. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechayanu, v'kiyamanu, v'higianu, lahazman hazeh. Amen. Please be seated. Once again, we're on page 206. Blessed are the people who understand the shofar sounds. They walk in your light, O Lord. In your name they rejoice all their days. Through your faithfulness they are exalted. Ashrei yoshvei veitecha hod yalucha sela. Ashreim shekachalo. Ashreim sheranai Elohav tila leDavid. Reading silently to the first few lines on 208. Tilatna yidaber pi v'vorech kabasa Hashem kachol elam voed. V'anachnu nevorech ya ve'ata v'yad olam. Hallelujah. Please turn to page 766 for the half Kaddish and rise. Yitkadash Shemei Rabbo Yolama Divrach Erutei V'Yamalich Malchutei B'chayechon Uvyomechon Uv'chayei Dechol Beit Yisroel Ba'agala Uv'izman Kariv V'imru Amen Yesh Me'rabba Mevorach Li'olam Li'olmei Olmaya Yitbarach Yitbarach Yishtabach Yitpawar Yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shemei Dekudesha B'richu Li'ela u'li'ela V'yinkol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran b'alma v'imru Amen. We'll do the Amidah, the silent prayer, pages 768 to 774, after which you may be seated. If you haven't finished the Amidah, please continue. We're going to sing the Shalom Rav on page 774. It's Debbie Friedman. It's really more identified with Shabbat, but Yom Kippur is referred to as Shabbat Shabbaton, the Sabbath of Sabbaths. So I assume we can be forgiven. Shalom Rav, Al Yisroel Amcha, Tasim Liolam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisroel Amcha, Tasim Liolam. Ki ata umelech Adon, lechol hashalom. Ki ata umelech Adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav, al Yisroel amcha, tasim liolam. Shalom Rav, al Yisroel amcha, tasim liolam. Tasim liolam. 7776 is the full Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgada shemei Rabba, Amen. Yalmad yivrach erutei v'yamliach malchutei, v'chayei chon uv'yimei uv'chayei dechol beit Yisroel, b'agalav v'zman kariv, v'yimru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach, li'olam li'ol mehol maya, yitbarach. V'yishtabach, v'yipoar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei rekudesha, b'richu, v'yelau li'ela, mikol berchata, v'shirata, tushbachata, v'nechmata, da'amiran v'yalma, v'yimru, amen. Titkabal, tzloton, uvoton, d'chol Yisroel, kadam avon, d'vishmaya, v'yimru, amen. Yehi shalom rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. V'hoseh shalom b'mromav, u'yaseh shalom leinu, v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'yimru amen. Back to 341, 341. The reason we're doing this, that's the Aleinu, please rise. The reason we're jumping around the book like this is because they really didn't give you a mincha davening with all the prayers in the same place. Aleinu l'shabeach ladun hakol lateit gedula liyotzeh breshit shelo asanu kigoye haratzot v'lo samanu mishpachot adama shelo sam melkeinu kahen v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam anachu korim mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu noteh shamayim v'yoseh haaretz u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim al u'shchinatu zo v'gavei merobim hu Eloheinu einod emet malkeinu efes ulato kakatu v'torato v'yadatayim Hashevota el levavecha, Ki Adonai hu Elohim, Hashamayim v'mahal v'al haaretz yaharetz v'tachat enod v'nemar Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz vayom hahu yeh Adonai echad Ushemo echad Be seated unless you're saying Mourner's Kaddish, which is on 342. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Amen. V'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon v'yimechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. V'agalo v'zman kariv v'yimru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach v'yolam ulmeil maya. Yitporach v'yishtabach v'yitpo'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'richu. Li'ela li'ela mikol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran v'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru Amen. You may be seated. And we turn to page 351. This is the Tefillah Zakah. The rabbis who made the laws of Yom Kippur tell us that unless we are prepared to go into this fast with a full heart and soul and to forgive anyone who has wronged us, it's not going to work. It was Maimonides, it was Rambam, who said that somebody who repents without a full heart is like someone who goes into a mikveh, that is a ritual bath, and they submerge themselves. Traditionally, you submerge yourself 3 times, but they're holding a sheretz. They're holding a defiling insect. I keep thinking about those lizards that scurry around outside. I love those lizards, but I'm just telling you what a rabbi says about a lizard. So anyway, let's try and read this on 351 with a great deal of sincerity. I hereby forgive all who have hurt me, all who have done me wrong, whether deliberately or by accident, whether by word or by deed. May no one be punished on my account. As I forgive and pardon fully those who have done me wrong, may those whom I have harmed forgive and pardon me, whether I acted deliberately or by accident, whether by word or by deed. Wipe away my sins, O Lord, with your great mercy. May I not repeat the wrongs I have committed. May the words of my mouth and the prayers of my heart be acceptable before you, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. This is one of 2 evening services on which we wear the talit, or as we used to call it back in the old neighborhood, the talis. And if you had more than one, you had talesim. But if you're going to be grammatical about this, they are talitot. Anyway, the other time that we wear the talit for a nighttime service is on Simchat Torah. So I'm going to ask all those of you who are wearing the talit, and we do encourage everyone to wear the talit, to please rise. And we'll say the blessing together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehitatef batzitzit. And in the English, praised are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who sanctified our life with his commandments, commanding us to wear the talit. Please be seated. And the very last line on the page, Or Zarua. Or Zarua la tzadik, uli shrelev simcha. Or Zarua la tzadik, uli shrelev simcha. And then when we were in yeshiva, you forget the words and you just do a sort of repetitive, meaningless syllable. All right, at this time we'll call the folks up who are going to be holding the Sifrei Torah. Are you prepared to hold 4 Torahs? You're not going to hold it later. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, don't forget where it is. Where it belongs. Just like watch me and give off 2 stops before I do. Yeah, don't lay it on the side.
Stand here.
Maybe you want to go around the side because you're taller than he is? Yeah, here. Come over here. You know, yeah, right. 6. Peter, come over here. Ready? B'yeshiva shel mala.
By authority of the court on high,
U'v'yeshiva shel mata.
and by the authority of this court below,
Aladat hamakom.
with divine consent,
Ve'aladat hakahal.
and with the consent of this holy congregation,
Anu matirin leitpalel im ha'avaryanim.
we hereby declare that it is permitted to pray with those who have sinned.
Kol nidrei ve'esarei v'charamei ve'konamei ve'chinuyei ve'kinusei u'shavuot din darna
כיפורים זה עד יום כיפורים הבא עלינו לטובה. כול הון איחרת נא והון, כול הון יהון שרן, שוויקין, שוויתין, בתלין ומבוטלין, לשרירין ולקיימין. נדרנה נדרי ואסרנה לאסרי ושבועתנה שבועות. You can do it here.
Number 2.
Oh, I thought you were doing it from over there. That's fine. I know.
I got to stand with the toes.
Oh, okay.
KOL NIDREI VESAREI VCHARAMEI VEKONOMEI VECHINUSEI Ushevut Dinadana Udeishtabana Udiacharimna Arnaf Shatana Yom Kippurim Zeh Ad Yom Kippurim Haba Aleinu Letova Kul Hon Icharatena Vihon Kul Hon Yehon Sharon Shavikin Shavitin Betelin Umvutalin I La Sheririn Bela Kayamin Nidrana La Nidrei Viesarana Lo Esarei Ushvuatana La Shevut.
KOL NIDREI VESREI VCHRMEI VKONAMEI VCHINUYEI VKINUSEI USHVUOT Din darna udehishtabana udeacharimna ודהסרנה על נפשתנה מיום כיפורים זה עד יום כיפורים הבא עלינו לטובה כולהון יכרתנה והון כולהון יהון שרן שביתין בטלין ומבוטלין לשרירין ולקיימין ואסרנה לאסרי ושבועתנה לשבועות ונסלח לכל עדת בני ישראל ולגר הגר בתוכם כי לכל המשגגה סלח נא לעוון העם הזה כגודל חסדך וכאשר נסעת לעם הזה ממצרים ועד הנה ושם נאמר ויאמר אדוני סלחתי כדבריך ויאמר אדוני סלחתי כדבריך ויאמר אדוני סלחתי כדבריך ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו
שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Praised be our God, ruler of the universe. Praised be our God, ruler of the world, for giving us life, for sustaining us, and for enabling us to reach this day. שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Please remain standing till we get a chance to put the Sifrei Torah back into the ark. Okay. Yeah, the second from right next to the loop. I'm going
Okay.
to the left. Yeah.
Okay, you're up next. Yeshua. Yeshua.
Be seated.
The tutor's precious.
Beautiful Kol Nidrei.
Thank you.
And we have speeches. Just, you know.
Yes, okay.
All right, at this time, we're going to hear an address by our very dear temple president, Rita Fleming Klein. Over the years, almost 40 years, I've dealt with a great many temple presidents, and she is absolutely at the top. So.
First of all, I want to thank Rabbi and Cantor Anita for a most beautiful Kol Nidrei. I look forward to that every year, and this year even more so. And I have only the greatest respect for our clergy, and we are so, so fortunate. So I come to you in gratitude. I usually speak off the cuff, but I have prepared something so that I don't forget anything. And the glasses go on, so you know it's a little serious. Okay. Lashana Tova, first of all. Thank you. My inspiration has and always will come from each and every one of you. Temple Shalom is so blessed to be the home of such an incredible congregation, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. It was pointed out to me not too long ago by one of our wonderful temple members that we are all guardians of the future for our beautiful shul. These words touched me as being perfect to describe our ancient and present responsibility to work, love, and support Temple Shalom, which is the sweetest shul on the planet. At this very moment, 5 past presidents of our synagogue are here, and they are still working hard to see that we not only survive, but thrive, and I wish to honor them. Irene Radish, our first woman president, Harvey Saff, Malcolm Black, David Greenblatt, and Steve Bijou. Thank you so much, each and every one of you, for all that you have done and will continue to do. You have created the foundation for our Jewish life to flourish in our gorgeous surroundings. Their vision was and is clear. Our vision must be clear. They gave back and continue to give back. We must give back too. We are still the tribes that gathered at Sinai. We have inherited and retained our ancestors' strength and resilience. We follow in their footsteps and in their example, which all of you follow with your undying support, which is the lifeblood of our synagogue. Each and every one of you here today, and those of you at home on Zoom, make it a joy to belong to our temple family, and make it a privilege for me to be your president.
On behalf of myself and my family and my relatives, a number of whom are with us this evening, I want to welcome you to services here for the High Holy Days here at Temple Shalom of Pompano Beach. A story is told of a water carrier. She had 2 pots on a very long pole that she balanced on her shoulders. Each day, the woman left her home and walked down a path to the stream where she would fill the pots with water, put them back on her pole, balance the pole on her shoulders, and walk back home. One of the pots had a crack in it, so that every time the woman arrived home, she had one pot that was full to the brim with water. She had a second one on her other shoulder that was only halfway full because of the crack. But she never changed her routine. Every day, she took the pots and the pole, walked down to the stream, collected her water, and arrived back home with one pot full and the other pot half full. Now, for the purpose of this story to work, you have to believe that the pot with the crack was magical and it was able to speak. The talking pot felt sad and ashamed that it could only ever return half full, and it looked enviously at the neighbor of it on the other side of the pole. And one day, the cracked pot finally mustered up the courage to speak, and it said to the woman, "I'm so sorry. I really need to apologize and ask your forgiveness. All of these years, I've been unable to deliver a full load of water, and I never provide as much for you and your family as my neighbor does. The water carrier thought for a moment, and then she pointed to the ground below, the path which she and the 2 pots took to the stream. "Do you see all of the flowers on your side of the path?" she asked. "I've always known that you had a crack. I've always known that you're prone to leakage. So I started planting seeds along the way. And every day when we walk back from the stream, you water them. What you saw as a flaw is actually nurturing these flowers and bringing beauty into the world. So rather than your apologizing, I should have thanked you long ago for being a cracked pot." In our lives, how often are we the cracked pot in the story? We focus solely and exclusively on our flaws, on the ways that we are not living up to some supposed ideal, on the times when we fall short of what we might have wanted or imagined from ourselves. Often, before the world even gets involved or we get any external feedback, we're beating ourselves up. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm just not enough. All too often, we are our own worst and harshest critic. I myself have not measured up. Over the years, as a rabbi, as a husband, as a father, as a college English professor, I prided myself on leading services. And then one night, this was in New Hampshire, it was a cold fall night, and I stood in an empty sanctuary and waited for a minion of people who never showed up. And that was the night I could have gone to the community center just a short distance away to watch my daughter Tyler play in a basketball game. None of the kids could play basketball, but they ran up and down that court with a full heart. And I miss that. This is what happens in life. Our internal critic is bad enough, but then we also have the seemingly perfect pot on the other side of the pole against which we are comparing ourselves. On this day of Yom Kippur, our focus should be on apologizing to those whom we have wronged, confessing our sins to God, and forgiving those who have wronged us. When it comes to forgiving others, our tradition is very clear in the way we have to approach the task. Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav, who's one of my favorites, he was quite a guy. He lived in the 18th century. He died very young, poor man. I think he was 36. But he was a great Rebbe in the extent that he didn't leave any great philosophy. He told stories, and he knew very much about human feelings. Before the Jews invented the psychology, because we need it, we had rabbis. You have to judge every person generously. This is the Rebbe. Even if you believe that person is completely wicked, it's your job to look hard and seek out some bit of goodness. When it involves the way we forgive other people, we are told to do it to forgive them willingly, kindly, and with compassion, always leaning to the positives which can be found. I remember reading a story of a grandmother who wandered into the living room of her children's apartment, and there on the floor was her beloved grandson. Somehow Junior had gotten a hold of a hammer, and he had just finished smashing the priceless Ming vase to pieces. Grandma didn't waste a second. She picked up the boy and smothered him with kisses and said, "Look how nice he holds the hammer." We are our own worst critics. If we view the world and others through rose-colored glasses, we often view ourselves through the darkest lenses we can find. Rabbi Nachman knew, as important as it was to encourage people to be charitable, it was equally, if not more important, to forgive ourselves. We have to be charitable in the way we view ourselves and forgive ourselves. This Yom Kippur, I really want us to approach ourselves in the sense that we all need some forgiveness. We need some self-forgiveness. I want us to be as kind to ourselves as we are to those around us, as compassionate with ourselves as we are to our neighbors, and as forgiving of ourselves as we are to those who have made mistakes. At the heart of our Torah is the very important commandment, V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. Although over the years, I've kind of added a corollary to that. It's very hard to love somebody else. If there's somebody you just met, or they're sitting across the room and you have no idea who they are, I don't think, forgive me, we don't have to love them, but we should respect them. And this is the same feeling I have towards all Americans, Jew or Gentile, and also to all the citizens of the world. This way we're supposed to treat other people. There's a first step to getting there. Love your neighbor as yourself begins with you. This is not an instruction to vanity, arrogance, or ego, but it is a call for us to have a positive relationship with ourselves. We need to feel happy and content with who we are. We need a positive sense of self-worth. The verse reminds us that we cannot approach another person with kindness and love if we do not treat ourselves in the same way. I once knew a man who carried in his wallet not a picture of his family, though he should have. He carried a picture of himself when he was 6 years old. He keeps it there to remind himself to always view the world with the wonder of a child, but also, as the years go on and we develop more quirks, we should always forgive and love ourselves the same way he would love the innocent child in the picture. It's a wonderful aspiration to hold ourselves the same way we would hold a child. There is a psychologist who refers to herself as, quote, a recovering perfectionist and an aspiring good enoughist. We should not hit ourselves in the head when we make a mistake. If it is something that can be made up for, we must do it. If we have sinned against a loved one, we must devote the rest of our lives to making it right, no matter how difficult it may seem. But we are meant to be, as human beings, we are imperfect. God still described us, however, as Tov Ma'od, very good. We require this day of Yom Kippur because we are imperfect, because we will make mistakes, but yet we are also beautifully human with all of the positives and the negatives that the world entails. If the first step is accepting that we are good enough, the second step is changing the way we treat ourselves. As Rebbe Nachman said, we have to watch out for old man depression. And it's true statistically that the number of people suffering from depression is growing in this great land. We have to embrace self-compassion. We have to learn to treat ourselves with the same kindness we would show to a good friend or even a stranger. How many of us are openly judgmental of ourselves? How many of us hold ourselves to a standard, not a high one, a very high one, but one which is impossible to approach? And we do this because perhaps when we were growing up, we always had parents, let them rest in peace, to remind us when we were messing up. It's unfortunate. Parents should be more positive. I'm not saying that every child is perfect, and frankly, when you have a child, it's like you are born again yourself. You have to adjust your internal clock so that you don't sleep through the baby's feeding. When our daughter was born, we swore a most deadly oath that we would never plant her in front of a television set. No. We would provide her with life-enriching activities, with educational activities, and all sorts of things. Well, when they wake you up enough times at 3 o'clock in the morning, you plant them in front of the television, you prop them with pillows so they don't roll off, and maybe you go back to sleep, but probably not. Since we are created in the image of God, we have got to enter into this coming year to resolve to treat yourself properly, because then it follows you're going to treat other people properly as well. When we make a mistake, do not allow the voice in your head to beat you up. Seek to hear a voice of reassurance and support, forgiving yourself. If you fail in a task, rather than hearing words of condemnation and derision, speak to yourself with encouragement that there will be other opportunities for success in the future. As we emerge from this Yom Kippur to begin a new year, my prayer for us is like Solomon's diamond. King Solomon had a wonderful diamond. It was really huge. What carat size? 10 carat size. Can't beat it. And he was so proud of it, he kept it by the side of his throne all the time. But then he was getting ready to put it back to the royal jeweler for the night, and he noticed that, horror of horrors, the diamond had grown a crack. So he said to the royal jeweler, "Could you please fix this?" The royal jeweler went away and thought, and then he did some work and gave it back to His Majesty. He had carved a beautiful rose on the face of the diamond, and for the stem of the rose, he used the crack. So you see, there is always time to fix things. There are always ways to improve things, but most importantly of all, forgive yourselves in the coming year. Thank you so much. Gimru Tov. And we'll do the evening service, the Baruch Hu. The ark is open. Page 360. Please rise.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Li'olam Voed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Voed.
Amen. The ark is closed. Please be seated. Okay, 360. Let's read together the middle paragraph on page 361. Praised are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, whose word brings the evening dusk. You open the gates of dawn with wisdom, change the day's divisions with understanding, set the succession of seasons, and arrange the stars in the sky according to your will. Lord of the heavenly hosts, you create day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness away from light. Eternal God, your rule shall embrace us forever. Praised are you, O Lord, for each evening's dusk.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבים. אהבת עולם בית ישראל, עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Amen. 362, we have the Shema. Please cover your eyes to show God cannot be seen. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Uncover the eyes.
Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Reading in the English, love the Lord together. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall you take to heart. You shall diligently teach them to your children. You shall repeat them at home and away, morning and night. You shall bind them as a sign upon your hand. They shall be for a reminder above your eyes, and you shall inscribe them upon the doorposts of your homes and upon your gates. Please read silently the paragraph following, as well as the top two paragraphs on 364. Actually, we'll do the tzitzit paragraph together because a lot of us are wearing talesim. Incidentally, the commandment not to wear the talis at night is because in the olden days, what happened at night? It got dark, couldn't see the tzitzit. We have been spoiled by artificial lighting. Okay. All right, if you have the tzitzit in your hand, please. If the person next to you has one of your tzitziot, that would be very much appreciated. And let's do the English paragraph. And when you say the word fringes, you'll kiss the tzitziot. The Lord said to Moses, instruct the people Israel that in every generation they shall put fringes, tzitzit, on the corners of their garments, and bind a thread of blue to the tzitzit of each corner. Looking upon these tzitzit, you will be reminded of all the commandments of the Lord and fulfill them, and not be seduced by your heart or led astray by your eyes. Then you will remember and observe all my commandments and be holy before your God. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I, the Lord, am your God. One more kiss. Adonai Elohechem Emet. And continuing on page 366.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל לכנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע הים לפני משה, זה לי ענו ואמרו,
Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. V'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov ugelo miyad chazak mimenu baruch ata Adonai Ka'al Yisrael.
Amen. The paragraph at the bottom of 367, we customarily dedicated to the folks who need refuah shlema, folks who need a quick and speedy recovery. So please keep, if you know someone who is not well, keep their name in your mind while we read this paragraph. Reading together. Help us, our Father, to lie down in peace and awaken us to life again, our King. Spread over us your shelter of peace. Guide us with your good counsel. Save us for the sake of your mercy. Shield us from enemies and pestilence, from starvation, sword, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings. You, O God, guard us and deliver us. You are a gracious and merciful King. Guard our coming and our going. Grant us life and peace now and always. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Praise to you, Lord, who spreads a shelter of peace over us, over all his people Israel, over Jerusalem and the entire world. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim, v'al kol ha'olam kulo. Amen. 368.
Ki vayom hazeh yechaper aleichem letaher etchem mikol chatoteichem lifnei Adonai titaru.
Please rise, have Kaddish, bottom of 368.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah be'alma divrach yirutei ve'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei techo beit Yisrael ba'gala u'v'zman kariv v'yimeru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroma v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei tekudesha b'richu le'ela le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata dahamiran be'alma ve'yimeru amen.
The Amidah, pages 370 to 382. When you're finished, you may be seated. If you prefer not to read the entire thing, I would suggest you focus on a paragraph or two and repeat them to yourself as a sort of a personal mantra. When you're done, you may be seated. not for the people who are still davening, but it's to give them the time to de-daven.
Oh, okay. And then you're doing Ya'aleh, right?
Yeah, that's it. Oh, wait, I'm doing Ya'aleh?
That's what you told me.
Yes, good idea. Okay, well, I can just run it through. It's a nice story that I'll say. Thank you. I'm not walking back and forth. If you haven't finished the Amidah, please continue. Otherwise, we're on 386. You know, the years go by, you accumulate these tunes, you don't remember where they came from. I think this one is New Hampshire, but I don't know. Ya'aleh is the refrain. Actually, I see here it's Richard Tucker. Is it Richard Tucker? No? Richard Tucker? Maybe it is. Okay. Ya'aleh, 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 the ark should be opened. Ya'aleh tachnunenu me'erev, me'erev, v'yavo shavatenu mi-boker, mi-boker, v'eroeh, brinunenu arerev. Let's try the Ya'aleh. Ya'aleh, 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 Ya'aleh ko'olenu me'erev, me'erev, v'yavo sidkatenu mi-boker, mi-boker, v'eroeh, Fidyonenu ararev. Let's do the last line. Ya'aleh, 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 enkatenu me'erev, me'erev, v'yavo lecha mi-boker, mi-boker, v'eroeh, elenu, big finish, ararev. The ark is closed. Please be seated.
No. Top of 388.
388.
הנשמה לך והגוף פועלך חוסה חוסה על המלאך הנשמה לך והגוף שלך אדוני אדוני עשה למען שמך עתנו על שמך אדוני אדוני עשה למען שמך בעבור כבוד שמך כי אל חנון ורחום שמך למען שמך אדוני וסלחת לעווננו כי רב הוא
Page 392. The ark is opened.
ויעבור אדוני על פניו ויקרא אדוני אדוני אל רחום וחנון ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת נוצר חסד לאלפים נושא עוון ופשע וחטאה ונקה וסלחת לעווננו ולחטאתנו ונחלתנו Adonai.
Read the English, please. I am he before you sin.
Adonai.
I am he after you sin.
El.
Merciful to all, Gentile and Jew.
Rachum.
To those with merit.
Vechanun.
To those without merit.
Erech apayim.
With the wicked who may repent.
Verav chesed.
With those in need of kindness.
Ve'emet.
Rewarding those who do my will.
Notzer chesed lalafim.
When you do good deeds.
No say avon.
When you sin deliberately.
Vafesha.
When you rebel maliciously.
V'chata'a.
When you sin unintentionally.
V'nakeh.
When you repent.
Selach lanu avinu ki chatanu mechalanu malkeinu ki fashanu ki ata Adonai tov v'salach v'rav chesed v'rav chesed v'rav chesed lechol korecha.
The ark is closed. You may be seated. This is page 394. La Brit.
כי הנה החומר ביד היוצר, ברצותו מרחיב וברצותו מקצר. כן אנחנו בידך וידך, חסד נוצר, לברית הבית, ואל תפן ליצר. כי הנך אבן ביד המסתת, ברצותו אוחז וברצותו מחטט. כן אנחנו בידך מחיה וממוטט, לברית הבית, ואל תפן ליצר. כי הנך גרזן ביד החרש, ברצותו דיבק לאור וברצותו פרש. כן אנחנו בידך
Page 396, the 13 attributes of God's mercy. Please rise. The ark is opened.
ויעבור אדוני על פניו ויקרא אדוני אדוני אל רחום וחנון ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת נוצר חסד לאלפים נושא עוון ופשע וחטאה ונקי וסלחת לעווננו ולחטאתנו ונחלתנו סלח לנו אבינו כי חטאנו מחלנו מלכנו כי פשענו כי אתה אדוני טוב וסלח ורב חסד ורב חסד ורב חסד לכל קוראיך.
The ark is closed and reopened. Page 398, 398.
שמע קולנו אדוני אלוהינו חוס ורחם עלינו וקבל ברחמים וברצון את תפילתנו. השיבנו אדוני אליך, השיבנו אליך ונשובה, חדש ימינו כקדם. אל תשליכנו מלפניך, אל תשליכנו מלפניך. ורוח קודשך ורוח קודשך ורוח קודשך אל תיקח ממנו. אל תשליכנו לעת זקנה, ככלות כוחנו, אל תעזבנו, אל תעזבנו, אדוני אלוהינו, אל תרחק ממנו.
All right, page 399. The ark is closed. You may be seated. We'll just
the middle of the page. Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu, selach lanu, mecha lanu, kaper lanu, ki anu amecha, ve'ata Eloheinu, anu vanecha, ve'ata avinu, anu avadecha, ve'ata Adonenu, anu ke'alecha, ve'ata chelkeinu, anu nachlatecha, ve'ata goraleinu, anu tzonecha, ve'ata ro'einu, anu charmecha, ve'ata notreinu, anu ve'ulatecha, ve'ata yotzreinu, anu rayatecha, ve'ata dodeinu, anu segulatecha, ve'ata keroveinu, anu amecha, ve'ata malkeinu, anu ma'amirecha, ve'ata ma'amireinu, anu azefanim, ve'ata rachum v'chanun, anu kashei oref, ve'ata herech apayim, anu male'ei avon, ve'ata malei rachamim, anu yameinu ketzel over, ve'atahu ushnotecha lo yitamu.
On page 403, we have the Oshanu. Please rise. We do this with breastfeeding. Based on the letters of the alphabet, just as we sinned in our speaking sins, with all the letters of the alphabet, so do we repent for them.
Ay, 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 Ashamnu, Bakadnu, Gazalnu, Dibarnu Dofi, ay, 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 Evinu, Behirshanu, Zadnu, Hamasnu, Tafalnu Shaker, ay, 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 Yahatznu Ra, Kizavnu, Latznu, Maradnu, Niatznu, Sararnu, Avinu, Pashanu, Sararnu, Kishinu Oref, ay, 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 Rashanu, Shichatnu, Tiavnu, Tainu, Titanu.
Continuing now on 406.
Ata yodea razei olam, ve'ta'alumot sitrei chol chai.
חופש כל חדרי ותן, ובוכן כליות ולב, אין דבר נעלם ממך, ואין נסתר מנגד עיניך, ובכן יהי רצון מלפניך. אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, שתסלח לנו על כל חטאותינו, ותמחה לנו על כל עוונותינו, ותכפר לנו על כל פשעינו. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך באימוץ הלב, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בביטוי שפתיים.
Let's read responsibly in the English. We have sinned against you by being heartless together. We have sinned against you by speaking recklessly. We have sinned against you openly and in secret.
We have sinned against you through offensive talk.
We have sinned against you through impure thoughts.
And we have sinned against you through empty confession.
Continuing silently.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בטיפשות פה, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך ביודעים ובלא יודעים, ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו, ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בכפת שוחד, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בלשון הרע.
I'd like to read an alternative al Chait. This is from the collection edited by Rabbi Dov Peretz Elkins. For the sins of dismissing God's sacred time as inconvenient, for the sin of filling our days without leaving time for God, for the sin of insisting on our rights while ignoring our responsibilities, and for the sin that Judaism is only about feeling good, for the sin of justifying our behavior because it's what everyone else does, and the sin of dismissing God's sacred time as inconvenient. For all these sins, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement.
ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו, ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו.
Continuing now on page 410. We'll be reading some of this in English.
You may be seated.
מי שענה לאברהם אבינו בהר המוריה, הוא יעננו. מי שענה ליצחק בנו כשנעקד על גב המזבח, הוא יעננו. מי שענה ליעקב בבית אל,
הוא יעננו. מי שענה ליוסף בבית האסורים, הוא יעננו. מי שענה לאבותינו על ים סוף, מי שענה למשה בחורב,
Look at the English now. He answered Abraham on Mount Moriah, and his son Isaac found on the altar.
may he answer us.
He answered Jacob praying at Bethel, and his son Joseph imprisoned in Egypt.
May God answer us.
He answered our ancestors at the Red Sea, and our teacher Moses standing at Sinai.
May God answer us.
He answered Aaron during an offering, and his grandson Pinchas, one of the priests. May he answer.
May God answer us.
He answered Joshua at Gilgal, and Samuel the prophet at Mitzvah.
May God answer us.
He answered David facing Goliath, and Solomon his son king in Jerusalem.
May he answer us.
He answered Elijah on Mount Carmel, and his disciple Elisha in Jericho.
May God answer us.
He answered Jonah in the great fish, and King Chizkiyahu during his illness.
May God answer us.
He answered Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah when they were thrown into the fiery furnace.
May God answer us. מי שענה לדניאל בגוב האריות, הוא יעננו. מי שענה למרדכי ואסתר בשושן הבירה, מי שענה לעזרא בגולה, הוא יעננו. מי שענה לכל הצדיקים והחסידים והתמימים והישרים, הוא יעננו.
412, Cantor will do the top paragraph, which is in Aramaic. It's not Arabic, it's a mixture of Hebrew and Greek.
רחמנא דענה לעניי עננה. רחמנא דענה למקיחי רוחה עננה. רחמנא דענה לדברי ליבה, לדברי ליבה עננה. רחמנא עננה, רחמנא חוס, רחמנא פירוק, רחמנא שזיו, רחמנא עננה, רחמנא חוס, רחמנא פירוק, רחמנא שזיו, רחמנא רחם עלן, רחם עלן. השתבע עגלה ובזמן קריב, ובזמן קריב.
Continuing now with the Avinu Malkeinu, page 414. Please rise, the ark is open.
אבינו מלכנו, חטאנו לפניך. אבינו מלכנו, אין לנו מלך אלא אתה. אבינו מלכנו, עשה עמנו, עשה עמנו למען שמך. אבינו מלכנו, אבינו מלכנו, חדש עלינו שנה טובה. אבינו מלכנו, בטל מעלינו כל גזירות קשות. אבינו מלכנו, אבינו מלכנו, בטל מחשבות שונאינו. אבינו מלכנו, עופר עצת אויבינו. אבינו מלכנו, קלה כל צר, כל צר ומסטין מעלינו. אבינו מלכנו, שמע קולנו, שמע קולנו, שמע קולנו.
Continuing on page 416. Avinu Malkeinu, Atzmach Lanishma Bekarov. Avinu Malkeinu, Arei Keren Yisrael Amecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Shma Aleinu Chusrachem Aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kabel Brachamim Uratzon et Tefilateinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Noal Teshivenu Rekam Milfonecha.
אבינו מלכנו, זכור כי עפר אנחנו. אבינו מלכנו, חמול עלינו, ועל עוללינו וטפנו. אבינו מלכנו, עשה למען תבוכים על ייחודך. אבינו מלכנו, עשה למען באי ואש ובמים על קידוש שמך. אבינו מלכנו, עשה למענך אם לא למעננו. אבינו מלכנו, חוננו בנינו. אבינו מלכנו, חוננו בנינו, כי אין בנו
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחיי חון וביומי חון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב וימרו 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 אמן יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תאמירן בעלמא ויאמרו אמן תתקבל צלותיהון ובאותיהון דכל ישראל קודם אבוהון דבשמיא ויאמרו אמן יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו 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 אמן עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגאור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו Amen. Amen. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עמיה. בריחו. Amen. 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 Adonai ori vishi mimira, Adonai ori vishi mimira, Adonai ma'oz chayai, mimi efchad. Adonai ori, Adonai ori, ori veishi, mimi ira, mimi ira. Adonai ori veishi, mimi ira. Adonai ori veishi, mimi ira. Adonai ma'oz chayai, mimi efchad. Adonai ori veishi.
Reading silently, after which we'll do the EREV YOM.
לולי האמנתי לראות בטוב אדוני בארץ חיים. קווה אל אדוני, חזק ויאמץ ליבך, וקווה אל אדוני.
On page 426 is the Yigdal, closing song.
With accompaniment. יגדל אלוהים חי וישתבח, נמצא והנה אל מציאותו, אחד ואין יחיד כייחודו, נעלם וגם אין סוף לאחדותו. אין לו דמות הגוף ואינו גוף, לא נערוך אליו קדושתו, קדמון לכל דבר אשר נברא, ראשון ואין ראשית לראשיתו. הינו אדון עולם וכל נוצר, יורה גדולתו ומלכותו, שפע נבואתו נתנו אל אנשי סגולתו ותפארתו. לא קם בישראל כמשה עוד, נביא ומביט את אמונתו. תורת אמת נתן לעמו אל, על יד נביאו נאמן ביתו. לא יחליף האל ולא ימיר דתו, לעולמים לזולתו. צופה ויודע סתרנו, מביט לסוף דבר בקדמתו. גומל לאיש
Shem tehilato, Meitim Yechael, Berov chasto, Baruch Hadeat, Shem tehilato.
Yashikal to our Hasanit and our wonderful duo. I also want to say services begin tomorrow at 9:30. And, oh yeah, shoes. Okay. When I was a kid, you had one kind of sneaker that was canvas on top and rubber on the bottom. It was U.S. Kids. And there's so many synthetic shoes these days. So save the cow and wear something synthetic. Because the point I'm trying to make is that if we come to shul and we're dressed very nicely, but then we look down and we see our beat up sneakers or not so beat up sneakers, you feel incomplete. You feel a little bit off, and that's a very good way to feel on Yom Kippur. Okay? Thank you so much. Thank you.
I guess I was going flat, wasn't I? Oh, let me shut off my thing.
Yivarechacha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Yo'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Have an easy fast. Good Yontif.